Alright, so make sure you open up the story. I noticed something actually kind of wacky. I don't know why it does this, but I think the story is like 22 chapters. When I go to open it with Google Docs, it doesn't open up all of them. It only opens up like the first 18, which is weird. So I think when it comes to finishing the book, we might not be able to open it up using a Google Doc. For some reason, it doesn't open all the chapters. It's strange. But if I open it up like a PDF file, it'll show. Like from here, if I go this way, it opens up the entire book. All right, so I'm just scroll down just to show you. Chapters this still going. Go all the way down.
Wait, mister. So we're just gonna read. We're not gonna take notes.
We're gonna take notes in a second, but I just want to show you something though. There's something I noticed yesterday when I was looking at this book. So you notice 16, 17, 19, right? You see all these chapters 20. But if I go to look at it through the Google Doc, it only goes to whatever, like 15. I don't know why it does that. It's weird. So you can't take notes on those late chapters for some reason. I don't know. It's wacky. All right, so we're on chapter 11, which is on page 51. Make sure you guys are here. 51. Are you guys good?
Mister, what page is that on the book?
In the book, it's chapter 11, so it's like the 90s somewhere, I think. 91. So 51 or 91. Alright, so again, I'd probably prefer that you're actually reading through the text just because you can make notes on it, but if you prefer that, it's fine, Elijah.
Wait, what? I want to make notes. I did it before. I just thought the book was better, but you said something was happening with it.
No, it's just I was showing you that this file, for whatever reason, doesn't open up the entire story. It just opens up like the first 14 chapters, which is odd. It doesn't open up all 21 or however many pages are. It's weird. Just noticed it yesterday when I was looking at it. Alright, so again.
There's 91 less than 11.
What's that?
Page 91 is the one that starts 11.
Yeah, in the novel, yeah. 91 or 51, depending on what text you're using. All right. We're going to read. Again, make sure that you're taking down notes. These notes are helpful for you when you guys have questions to answer. All right. So I'm still missing some faces. I should see a blurry background or your face or something. A shoe, toenail, fingernail, some hair, something. A dog. There you go. All right. It was the next evening, just after it got dark, that Woodrow came to my window and he called softly, "Gypsy, you awake?" The window was right beside the bed and the curtains were pushed back to let in the night breeze. "Yeah, I'm awake," I said, rising up on my knees. Together, Woodrow and I removed the screen and eased it down to the floor. "You better?" he said. "Some," I said. "Doc says my fever's down." "Had your rum tonight?" he said, grinning. "Not yet. Mama'll bring it back in a while." "Well, I got somebody here who wants to visit you." "Oh? Who?" I leaned towards the window and detected a figure about a head taller than Woodrow standing in the shadows. "I hope he's had the measles," I said. "Oh yeah, he's had everything," Woodrow said as he pushed the person forward. "Say hello to Blind Benny." I was flabbergasted. Like flabbergasted would be like super shocked. For years I had heard him singing, but I had seen him only in the dark from afar, while he rummaged through people's leftovers and the dogs sniffed around him. Now here he was. Leave it to Woodrow to bring him right to my window and introduce him like he was somebody's cousin from the glassy lip, maybe. Blind Benny moved halfway into the dim light, coming from the lamp. I could see his face and the legendary sightless eyes that were almost not there. There were like two little holes in his face, about the size of dimes, and not eyes at all. It was an automatic reflex for me to shrink from anything so hideous, right? So she sees him, and she shrinks away, right? Because again, if you see somebody with no eyes, it would just freak you out. I actually had a dog with no eyes. They had to take the eyes out of my dog because it, uh, like the eyes for whatever reason, like swelled up, and the dog was miserable. So we took the dog's eyes out, and actually the dog was like, it went from being like a sad, unhappy dog to like a happy dog once we removed the eyes. It's crazy. Um,
Wait, why'd you remove the eyes?
it was just causing the dog too much pain. It was miserable. I don't know if the dog could see. I don't think the dog could really see through the eyes anyway. But once the dog's eyes were removed, it like went from being like this sad, miserable dog to like a,
I mean, dogs are like blind color. Technically, they're not blind, but they can't see color.
yeah. Well, this dog was completely blind. He couldn't see anything. He was always bumping into stuff anyway. So he got around pretty good, which is kind of crazy. Like it was actually kind of amazing how well this dog got around my house with no eyes. It was nuts. Yeah, so it's almost like he knew the layout of the house and got around fine. It's crazy. All right. It was an automatic reflex for me to shrink, right? So again, if you see something like that, it's kind of like freaky once you see it, and like, oof, like she just jumped back. I almost gasped, but I clapped a hand over my mouth before the hateful sound could escape, right? So she gets shocked, and she covers her mouth because she doesn't want him to hear that she's like shocked by how he looks. As usual, nothing got past Woodrow. He saw my reaction and smiled. Evening, Miss Beauty, blind Benny said shyly. I hope you're feeling a fitter than you was. Beauty, why do you call me that? A feeling akin to pain came within me. I reckon so, I said, trying to find some words. I was sorry when your cousin here told me you was ailin', but he said you'd not be scared of most me like most girls is. Woodrow and I exchanged a glance. Suddenly, Benny started scratching his thighs and behind. Chiggers is awful this year, he said. I might near wore my fingers down to a nub just to scratching myself. Woodrow tells me he knows about chiggers, knows their ways and their secret places, he says. He's going to show me how to keep away from them. Do the chiggers get on you much, Miss Beauty? Sometimes, I mumbled. So chiggers are a type of bug that are like, they get into your body and like make you itch. Um, this is chiggers. I guess they're kind of wacky looking. I think I remember seeing them when I was a kid. Like they're really, really tiny and red, and I guess they like bite you. Like, it's kind of nasty looking. All right.
I've never even got itched by one of those.
Yeah, I remember seeing them when I was a little kid, but I don't think I've seen them in like forever.
I've never seen them before.
Yeah. But again, they get into your skin and like they make you itch. Like I guess almost kind of like maybe how like a flea might be, or like
That looks like a termite.
a little bit. It was true that there was a bumper crop of chiggers that year. They were tiny, almost microscopic bugs that like to crawl up under your clothes and burrow into the white fleshy places where the sun never touches. Big, ugly red bumps would pop up when they dug in, and Woodrow did have a peculiar knack for sniffing them out. Lots of times he'd say to me, "Don't sit there, Chigger Convention," or "Don't lean on that tree, Chigger City." Right? So I guess they just crawl up on you when you're not looking, and then they, start biting you. Yeah, Woodrow's right handy to have right round sometimes, I said to blind Benny. Woodrow looked at me sideways like he was wondering if I meant something by that. When Woodrow asked me to come over to your window, blind Benny said, it brought to my mind a memory of your pappy in this very room singing to you when you was just a little thing. You mean my daddy? I said. Oh, yeah, blind Benny said, moving closer and clutching the window ledge. I felt a tremor go through me as I shrank away from him. Amos Lee Master and me was boys together back there in Cold Valley, Kentucky, Miss Beauty. Why do you call me that? I said. Beauty? Don't you remember? It was his name for you. He always calls you Beauty, short for Arbutus. He named you himself, Gypsy Arbutus Lee Master. He said he couldn't think of any other name to beat it, and he were right. I felt sick, and I wanted him to go away then, but I didn't know how to say it. So he's not really liking the fact that she keeps calling her Beauty, because that's the name that her father gave her. Right, so it's kind of like bothering her, obviously her father being not alive anymore. I felt sick. I wanted him to go away then, but I didn't know how to say it. Benny's going to sing to you, Gypsy Woodrow said. I lay back on my pillow and closed my eyes. I knew what the song was going to be before he began. When the moon comes over the mountain, every beam brings a dream dear of you. Blind Benny's voice was even more wonderful, haunting. It was up close, and I could almost hear my daddy echoing each line. Once again we stroll neath the mountain, through that rose-covered valley we knew. Each day is gray and dreary, but the night is bright and cheery. When the moon comes over the mountain, I'm alone with my memories of you. It was Amos's favorite song, Benny said softly when he finished. He was a good singer. Too bad what happened to him. I'm feeling sick, I interrupted, not quite trusting my voice. I want to rest now. Wash sure you sleep, Miss Beauty, and I hope you'll be well again soon. I didn't answer. I heard Woodrow fumbling around with the screen. Then there was silence. The next day it turned real hot. Porter came into my room, ran an extension cord from the hallway, and placed an electric fan on my dresser. It was one of those small wire ones that swiveled back and forth. It felt good. Then he brought in a radio. Something to keep you cool and something to occupy your mind, he said. Mama had cleaned out my stash of books. How do you feel? He went on. Like a mushroom, I said irritably, in a cool, dark place. Porter turned the radio to coal station. So, I don't know how much you guys know about just like the past. So, yeah, like in the past, if you wanted to listen to music, there wasn't really too many options for people back then. So, back then it would have probably been records, like a phonograph, right? So they had that, which wasn't really mobile, or they had radios. So if you wanted to hear music, you would have to listen to the radio and to whatever was playing on the radio. You didn't really have much of a choice. Um, Mama had cleaned out my stash of books. How do you feel? He went on. Like a mushroom, I said irritably. In a cool, dark place. Porter turned the radio to coal station. Can I get anything else for you? He said. I shook my head. Didn't he know that if I wanted anything, I wouldn't ask him? He hung around for another minute, then left me alone. The radio was playing Hernando's Hideaway. It reminded me of my treehouse. I thought I would feel better if I could go there and sit on the house porch and hang my feet above the water and listen to the creek rippling over the rocks. I remember the day Daddy built the treehouse for me. I was barely big enough to get up the steps, and Mama fussed at Daddy because she said I was too small to climb up there and play. So he promised he would go with me until I was old enough to go by myself, and he did, until he died. I didn't go back to the treehouse until I was 10 years old, the day Mama and Porter got married and drove away to Myrtle Beach for their honeymoon. Then I climbed up there and went into the room. It was damp, and it smelled like raw lumber. There was a button on the floor, and I picked it up and I looked at it for a long time. It was green with little swirls of white running through it like marble. It came off of Daddy's green shirt, the one he wore to the volunteer firemen's meetings every Tuesday night. But I didn't want to think about that anymore. Mama, I yelled, feeling clammy and all out of sorts. I want to get up. She popped in the door just like she had been standing right out there in the hall. She was wearing a blue sundress with daisy all over it, and her hair had been brushed back in its everyday style with a blue ribbon in it, which made her look like a young girl. Don't be silly, she said. I want to go to the treehouse. You'll do no such thing. What did she just have a memory of? She had a memory of something. What was it?
Well, his father and her used to go to the treehouse together.
Yeah, but she had something so... What was she just thinking about?
About a button.
Yeah, about a button,
dad.
right? So, you can kind of see that's almost like symbolism here, right? So they added a little bit of symbolism in the story, right? Some sort of thing that kind of represents something else. In this case, that button kind of represents her father. So that's what's kind of making her want to get up, right? She wants to go to the treehouse. Again, this being some sort of idea of her father. And again, the fact that Benny came over yesterday probably helped put that idea in her brain. The mom's not having it, right? Why doesn't the mom want her to let her go? Why doesn't her mom want her to let her go?
Because she's not sick.
Exactly, right? So she's still dealing with the measles, right? So she doesn't want her getting up. You'll do no such thing. And then this is kind of an interesting response to what she does here. She says, why did you marry Porter? It was a nasty thing to say, and it popped out of nowhere, right? So she's not getting her way, so she's trying to manipulate her mom in a certain way to get a reaction. So she's not getting what she wants, so what does she do? She brings up something that she knows is a sore spot, right? Because the mom knows that she doesn't really like Porter. He's not my daddy, I said in a low, evil voice, and he never will be. I hate him. Right, so how is she treating the mom? How was she treating her mother there?
Like her mother married the devil himself.
Yeah, so how would you say she's treating her mother there then? Yeah, like garbage, right?
Disrespectful.
Bad.
Yeah, it's kind of like bad, right? So it's like the mom didn't do
Yeah.
anything bad to her, and she's just kind of meeting her with all this
And that's
negativity.
the same thing with Porter.
Yeah, so Porter gets treated even worse than the mom. I saw a slow flush go over her face, and her lip began to tremble. So those are kind of clues that she's probably like wants to almost like cry, right? So flush meaning like
To be punished.
yeah. So the flush would be like going from pale to red, right? So she's definitely having a physical reaction, and then the lip trembling would be like a clue of cry, like wanting to cry. You don't give him a chance, she said in a whisper. I turned my back to her and covered my head with the sheet. Mama left the room. By Saturday, I felt lots better, and Woodrow spent most of the day with me. We played checkers, and he read to me from a book called Lorna Doone. It was real good. Then he showed me how you could talk into a fan. It was a queer way the way the rotating blades chopped up the sound waves and made your voice quiver. That's how it was when my mama called my name in my dreams, he said sadly. Why do you reckon it sounds like that? I said. It's been filtered through two worlds, some kind of real strong force field separating the two dimensions. Again, he still has this idea that his mom is like in some other world. Oh, I see, I said. But I didn't see it at all. And what's more, I didn't think he did either. So she thinks he's lying. I think maybe she'll try to contact me another way, Woodrow said. Like on the telephone, I said. Are you making fun of me? Woodrow said. I never thought you'd do that, Gypsy. Honest, I didn't mean to, I said, because I didn't. But even so, I was still ashamed of myself. We didn't have anything to say to each other for a long time, and Woodrow looked so pitiful that I couldn't stand it. I thought and thought about what I could say to him to make him feel better. Finally, I had it. I tell you what, Woodrow, when Mama lets me go outside again, do you want to have a weenie roast? Okay? So that's like cooking hot dogs, essentially, what that means. It worked. Oh, yeah? He said, brightening. Yeah, down by the creek, I went on. There's a place where Grandpa lets me build a fire sometimes. We'll have it there, and we'll invite Mary Lee and Rita and Buzz, Garnet, Franklin Delano, John Ed, and Peggy Sue and Willie, he said excitedly. After that, I got better every day. All right, so they're planning on having like a little hot dog roast. All right, so we're going to not read,